Welcome back. What version? What version?
Welcome back to Meet Us in the Trenches.
Meet Us in
and
the
we going to
Trenches.
say welcome back. Well, we already established that that's
sorry.
like the best
No,
one.
No.
No?
No.
All right.
But anyway, I'm your host, Coach Sid.
And I'm Coach Tan. This is episode 10 of season 2. Can you believe that we're on 24 episodes
Wow.
already?
Wow. Yeah. That's tough, right? So we've been doing this a minute.
A very long minute now.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah. But look, shout out to our sponsors, Mo's Seafood, Tone Drone, Brainstream Media. And we have a great show for you today. Great show for you today. But our intro, we're going to talk about a couple things. In our intro, we want to really talk about, and what's really disturbing to me was the Overlea school teacher, Dustin Renner. Let's make him famous, right? Dustin Renner informing ICE of the Latino kids in the building through Twitter, tagging Twitter after one of the Latino kids confided in him, right? So tell me, what's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on Dustin Renner, I saw a few things about him posting on Twitter, and me personally, my feelings, for him to be a teacher, I feel like he's concerned about the wrong things. I feel like he should be there for his kids. Instead, it seems like he's more against them. So, I don't know. It didn't sit well with me when I read those things about him online. How do you feel about it?
But tagging ICE after the kid
it was very messy. I don't think you should do anything like that when it comes to your students.
Yeah.
So that didn't sit well with me at all.
So he lost trust of the whole building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So let's talk about Angie Stone. It's tough, right?
Well, this was a very tragic thing that has happened. Apparently, she was on her way to Baltimore to perform at the CIAA halftime.
Jeez.
And it was about 10 people in the sprinter, and 9 of them were injured, but she was the only one who passed. It was very sudden, it was very tragic, and it's a really big loss to our culture. Like, she has been such an amazing legend, and
Yeah. I remember she was in the group Sequence. You don't remember that? You too young. And she had that joint called I Want to Funk You Right On Up. You don't remember that? You're too young.
No, I
You're
just
too
remember,
young. Yeah.
You were my black brother.
Oh, man,
You
that was
know?
tough. That's tough.
She put on for our brothers, and it's a really big loss to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
So huge prayers to her family, her fans. I was watching a video that she posted on her Instagram, and she had so many things coming for us. So it's just really sad, and God has different plans. So rest in peace to her.
Condolences to her family, her fans, and and I know she was. I think she was the baby mother of D'Angelo, right?
Yes. The son with D'Angelo.
Right. So we want to talk about.
Soul.
We want to talk about the fight. It's kind of personal to me because I remember Tank when I was running. What I think kind of happened, and Tank was he was trying to play football at playing, but he tried. And the point I'm making is that without Coach Calvin, to me, being in this could have won if his father / trainer was in his corner, because he's been with Calvin since he was like 5 years old. And I just think that, when you kind of lose that, and I think he's a little hurt by some of the other stuff that's going on along with that. And it's kind of personal for me because I kind of know him, because he was a menace in Sandtown and breaking up fights with him all the time, and but I'm just kind of hurt by that draw,
I think so.
And then he did some ill-advised stuff too inside the ring that I thought was like, man. But I think coaches matter. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
And when you've been knowing a kid that long, I just think that it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
I only got to watch the last round of the fight because I was actually in New York on the train, and my boyfriend, shout out to him, he's watching right now. He had me in on FaceTime watching, and the amount of punches that I saw going through, oh my God, it was crazy. But they were saying that Roach threw more punches. How do you feel about that? I personally think it was a draw from the highlights that I've seen, but again, I didn't watch the whole fight. But for those who did, look, I'm a Gervonta Davis
fan. So are
you
a fan? You're a boxing fan?
I am.
Okay.
So that whole thing about his hair being done and the grease and they made a whole song about it. When I tell you that we are so quick on our feet, we are so creative with the things that we come up with. They made a song.
Yeah.
They made a song about him saying, I just got my hair done 2 days ago.
Wow.
And it's a whole jingle. I kid you not. It's a whole video out. But all jokes aside, he did a great job.
I mean, the grease in the hair thing, I don't know.
Look, I just got my hair done a few days ago.
I just think taking the knee, I think that was...
It's still, greasy up in there, like the gel is in there. It can happen.
Okay.
He's sweating, it can happen.
Yeah. I just think taking the knee was kind of ill-advised, but, it is what it is.
Maybe we could get him on the show. He can explain.
Yeah. So tell us about our black fact for the day.
So our black fact of the day, Robert Johnson was the first Black American billionaire becoming wealthy in 2001 after selling BET to Viacom. Now that hit deep for me because I used to basically live over there. Like I used to go to 106 in Park every week. And I was always at the CBS building and just having a whole bunch of fun over there. But he co-founded BET and it was $3 billion?
$3 billion?
$3 billion.
Good grief.
Yeah, so that's my black fact of the day. BT, Viacom, all that. That was a good fact for me.
Nice. Coming up, we have Mr. Anton Manning and Little Big Kitchen. And he brought some grub, too. Man, we might be eating on set, man. And we'll be back with Anton Manning. And, his son is here. I would really love to kind of get to talk to him because I've heard so much about him. And he's one of those trench guys that kind of want to know about him. So we'll be back.
I want to shout out our sponsors before we go.
Yep.
And also, we have a call-in number, so I want to make sure you guys know it. Write it down. It's 410-929-6835. And again, shout out to our sponsors, Moe's Seafood. Come get some food. Come get some drinks. Like, subscribe. Click the bell on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Other sponsors, Tone Drone TV, Union Media, and Play It Again Sports.
Timonium.
We'll be right back.
Play It Again Sports, Timonium.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divides through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.
Welcome back. Not the Mace version. Please don't say the Mace version. All right. Welcome back, Carter.
Do you know this version? Welcome Back Carter version or
You
the
gotta
Welcome
know
Back
Welcome Back
Mace
Carter
version?
So you would have to be of a certain age to know that song, and you might be falling short. Like you might have caught the remix, but we know the original.
Look at your sister looking at you like she know the Welcome Back Carter version. Yeah, she know it.
To be fair, I'm a 90s baby. I do know a lot of like old school music and stuff from my mama, but I'm a 90s baby.
So we're here with Mr.
Yes.
Anton Manning Sr. and baby boy Anton Manning Jr. that I've heard so much about, man, doing his Little League games and his Little League prowess. Now he's at the Gilman School doing his thing over there. And so we kind of here on two different ventures, right? It's real nice. And I was surprised when I found out that Mr. Anton Manning Sr. had his own cooking business, and he was into that field. I was kind of surprised, but I just want to know, what was your inspiration into doing what you do?
So it started when I was very young, and I spent a lot of time in East Baltimore at my grandmother's house. So every day before she went to work, it was an egg salad sandwich. And I kind of got tired of that, so I figured out a way to start cooking for myself. And from there, it went to the bologna in the oven, and then, you know, you graduate the steaks and whatever. I've been at this barbecue thing for about 22 years, and it started off as a small hobby, and it has grown over the years. I take pride in seeing people pleased by the food that I cook. So I think I get as much out of it as they get out of eating it, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much where it is. I did a lot of cooking for the Middle River program.
Yep.
And the Middle River football and cheerleading program.
Wow.
I feed the homeless probably once a year. I try to.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, my full-time job is being a dad.
Yes, sir.
So we here highlighting him, but I have twin girls at home,
Right.
16, and they go to Roland Park Country School.
Okay.
So that's pretty much my focus, making sure that they get off in life on the right path, and try to point out distractions as they come along and try to get them past the distractions before they become a major issue. And that's it. So the food thing, I'm a big guy, so I like to eat good, and so I experiment with my kids because he used to be bigger than what he is.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
What is your favorite meal to cook? And what is your favorite meal that he makes?
Yeah, what's your favorite meal to eat after Dad answers that first question?
So being a dad, being a parent, and these days the fast food industry is so inflated. So cooking at home, you kind of save more money, and then you had the leftovers. So he'll probably tell you what his favorite meal is, and I'll let him take it from here.
So my favorite meals probably would be his ribs. I mean, you can't beat them. This the best. Every time. Tonight, ribs, just a smile on my face. It's the best thing I'll ever have. Ever since I was about 7 years old, I loved them. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your Gilman, education and education first, right? So tell us about your stay at Gilman so far and how you like it and how is football going for you?
My stay at Gilman has been pretty good so far. From the varsity head coach, teacher support, just surrounding myself with the right people has really made me into a young man that I am today. My dad, of course, my mom, Coach Van Zyl, he gives me everything that I want. So they love me over there. All the teachers respect me. I respect them. It's just a great environment to be in.
Very nice.
How old are you?
I may not look 14, but yeah, I'm only 14 years old.
What? How tall are you?
I'm 6'1" right now.
I'm glad I'm sitting down then.
And you played, because on that picture, right, you look like a guard that was dear to my heart, and now you look like my enemy, which is the defensive line. I don't really like them guys. So look at that picture right there. And that was great. Right? It looked like a guard, looked like you ready to go. Now they done slimmed you down and put you on the D-line. God, how you like playing the D-line?
It's great. I was an offensive lineman my whole life, so I just know how to exploit them because, they're just not as good as me in my opinion. And, yeah.
Nice.
I'm interested in knowing, how did you come up with the name Little Big Kitchen?
Because out of this little kitchen comes a great taste. Catchy slogan. And it fits me. And I really can't tell you how I came up with the name, but it wasn't intentional. And that's the gist of it.
So how was your upbringing, and did that have any bearing on what you do today as far as your cooking venture?
I kind of grew up in the house with a tight family, but I grew up in a single household. A single mother family. So a lot of times I can't really say that I had a bad childhood. I went to private school my whole life except for one. And then that 1 year was drastic. I got put out of the city. So,
Whoa.
So then I had to go to Baltimore Lutheran. And so I continued my sports career there. But as far as any traumas or any drastic things, my childhood was pretty good. And so I think my love for cooking, I'm going to be honest. So my love for cooking came from my girlfriends, right? So, I grew up pretty fortunate, so we had all the things I needed to cook on the grill at an early age, and that's where it started. So I like grilled food. That was a big thing in my family, big cookouts. So when it was my turn to be able to cook on the grill, I had to make sure that I was ready.
Yeah, you was trying to impress, you know what I mean? You was trying to impress her, huh? That's what it was, you.
Oh, nah, man.
Okay.
It take more than that.
Okay.
It should.
Well, back then, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
So do you like to cook as well? Is that something that you like to do?
Uh-oh.
I like to cook, but can't really cook, so whenever I get in the kitchen, everybody was like, uh-oh. 'Cause, I'll probably burn the house down. But I do enjoy eating food.
Okay.
So I heard you had some food for us to try. So we trying to check it out and see what it's like.
I brought us some food.
We trying to see what it's like.
That's awesome. Thanks for
So
bringing us
let's
food.
go through it
Feed us too.
as we test it.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Look at this.
What you say, Smoke? What you say, boy? Huh? What you say, son?
Don't hurt yourself.
Don't hurt myself, son. Hold up now. Wait, hold now. Claude, have mercy. Well, you wasn't lying.
Thank you for this delicious meal.
I don't know how you lost that weight, but I don't know how you lost that weight.
Oh, we have.
I ain't lying. Claude, have mercy. What you think?
So I have some. Tell me what's on my plate. Tell me what you hooked up for us.
So you have my signature baked beans, string beans, and barbecue chicken.
Ooh.
It said it's the same thing except its protein is barbecue spare ribs, pork spare ribs.
I tell you what, them ribs coming off the bones, huh? They ain't playing with it, ain't it?
So I definitely love some greens, and these greens are hitting the spot. Hold on. Very flavorful.
Well, you better get in that kitchen, boy. Well, you playing around. So,
Shoot Mo some love and let them know they need some of this food.
you better not, they put us out of here.
These baked beans are amazing. You have to let the viewers know where to follow you.
You can follow me at the Little Big Kitchen on IG, and you can reach me at 667-229-6061. I can facilitate parties of upwards of 700 to 800.
Woo!
Parties for 250 to 300. I do them solely by myself. I have my hands in every dish that's prepared under my tutelage because it is my passion. So I would rather get rid of it than give it to you if it's not right.
So, last question, right? What do you foresee for your business in the future? Like, how far you want to take, what are you doing now?
So when you ask that question, it's funny that you asked that question. My ultimate dream is a brick and mortar. But when you have a brick and mortar, it requires a lot of time. Just like anything else, what you put in is what you're going to get out. So you mean long days, early days, late nights. If you really want to see your business grow, it's about your level of dedication. Right now, I'm not willing to sacrifice what I have to do for them for having a brick and mortar. So my primary focus is to get them where they're going. My daughters are going in 11th grade. He's going in the 9th grade. So I'm almost there. But you know, being a parent yourself, your job is never done.
Well, I know you've seen, I'm having that 5-on-5 Big Uglies June the 7th, right? I want Junior to come, and if he need them service learning hours, I want him to come get him, and then, of course he'll be on the defensive line side. I mean, but I want him to come, man, and kind of, show him what it's all about, because I heard all about him. So to have both of you guys here at the same time was really nice for me, and I really appreciate, you guys for coming on, man, because I heard so much about you, man, when you was a little chubby guy. So, I ain't mad at you, though. You switch sides. I mean, it's all good. But we really appreciate you, Mr. Manning.
I appreciate you, Sid. It's been a lot of people that's been trying to get us together, and it never really, it never really worked itself out.
You remember that conversation we had, man? We talked for about 2 hours.
I called you, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I called you. And then I found out from my cousin Duncan Anderson.
Yes.
That when he sanctioned said, that made it all official.
Oh,
right?
man, I really, shout out to Dunk, man. Thanks.
And that's just it. I appreciate you for everything. I follow Grump. I follow your son.
Yeah, man.
And so everybody gave me, hey, you need to get with Sid. Grump,
yeah,
Grump need to be his big brother, because Grump gonna get him where he needs to be. And I watched this journey with you, and I appreciate you as a father.
Thanks,
if
man.
nobody ever tell you that the hardest thing in the world is protecting your seed.
Ooh.
You watch the mother chicken sit on her egg, right? But they never say anything about that rooster.
Ooh, Lord.
Without the rooster, none of it could be possible. And that's how I look at it.
Talk to him, son. God.
So what I do for him is not necessarily for him. It is, but it's for my grandchildren.
Yes.
And then if he teach them how I taught him, then it just continues. You know what I mean? And nobody misses.
Legacy.
That's what it's about.
Man, go ahead before I start crying. But shout out to our sponsors, Moe's Seafood, Tone Drone, Brainstream Media, Play It Again Sports,
Timonium, and I want to get back to this food, so
Yes, sir.
I just want another bite. You know, while we on break, I'm gonna take a little bite because this is tasting really good.
So we'll be back in a couple minutes with, what we got?
Next, we have Marty McNair
Drum
coming
roll,
on our
Mr.
show.
Marty McNair.
And thank you so much for coming. This was a blessing.
Thank y'all for having me.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divide through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Carter.
To meet us in the trenches.
Meet us
We
in the
appreciate you all for tuning in. I am so lucky to be sitting next to Mr. Marty McNair, who is an author and a leading advocate for student athlete safety and parental awareness. His passion for educating and empowering families stems from personal experience after losing his son Jordan to a preventable heat-related injury. He dedicated his life to ensuring no other parent has to endure the same heartbreak. He is also a publisher, which we're going to ask him about the books that he has written. He also brought us one. And he has also been featured on Good Morning America, CNN, ESPN, Sports Center. And he is going to continue to advocate for systemic change in sports, safety, and education. And I can't wait to learn more about you. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. Hey, look, it was like a dream come true for me. I saw Mr. McNair a couple years ago. I was at the Glazier Clinic in Atlantic City, and it was in between sessions, and I saw him in the hallway. He had a vendor. He was vendoring, if I should say, and I think it was the cold tubs at the time, and we talked for maybe about an hour. I kind of missed one of my sessions, but it was all worth it. And I said to myself, one day I gotta interview Mr. McNair, man. I really, cause it's big. So I saw him on Instagram, and I'm never really on there. And I was like, dang, there go Mr. McNair. So I just hit him up and asked him would he come on, and he immediately said yes. And I then my heart started racing. So I said, damn, well, we had to take 2 days to go over the questions, right? Mm-hmm. So we're glad to have you on, Mr. McNair. We're really excited about you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Your timing was good. Just because I had a new book out, I'm saying yeah to everybody. So it's
okay.
Like, let me go ahead and promote this piece,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and
we're
that's
lucky.
what we're here for.
Right.
We want to definitely promote it. Can you tell us a little bit about the books you have written, your new book? Just give us a little rundown about that.
Yeah, so the main thing, can I use the thing? No, this is fine. So the main thing for me was just in regards to the way that Jordan passed. And Coach, by the way, when you saw me at Glazier Clinic, we had given so many of those cold water tubs away that I finally got smart and decided to manufacture our own.
Wow.
So that's how you kind of saw me at that point when we were, selling cold water tubs.
Right.
But the interesting thing, we initially started out as a heat-related injury organization,
Yes.
right? That's basically what our mission was, the education and the prevention of. But we only had 2 seasons, like the first 3 or 4 years, meaning we had a peak season and we had a valley season. So for us, it was more so our peak season would be obviously from April pretty much through September, when these type of injuries always happen, right? And then after that, we would just pretty much fall off until the previous season.
Right.
So one of the things I kept really focusing on was how do we really stay relevant all year long in regards to that, right? So I started writing curriculums, in regards to student athletes, high school student athletes. But really the main thing was, this new book is called The Fifth Quarter, A Parent's Guide to Preparing Your Student Athlete for Life Beyond the Game. And the goal for that really was more so to not only educate student athletes at the high school level, getting them prepared for college mentally, not really physically, but mentally, emotionally. We cover everything. It was like an 11-session curriculum. So one of the main things, I'm a firm believer that education starts at home.
Yes.
So how can we just educate high school student athletes without educating parents?
Absolutely.
Because, really the landscape nowadays has changed. The recruitment landscape has changed so significantly from when Jordan was being recruited.
Right.
Back then, the buzzword, or you had a level of security if you had a lifetime scholarship.
Right.
Nowadays, you pretty much need a lawyer and an accountant to even sign, a college contract, a 1-year contract, just because of the NIL deals, the collective deals, things like that. So this whole landscape has changed drastically, and a lot of times I think as parents, we need education, around these things, because same way with me, like, man, I didn't know what we were dealing with when we were, your first time dealing with the college recruitment process, like I kind of break that whole thing down to the point where it empowers parents really to empower their student athlete for literally life beyond the game.
So how much knowledge did you have prior to, Jordan going to school at that particular time?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, my first book is titled "Can My Child Play?" with the subtitle of "The Questions We Should Have Asked."
Yes.
I asked 2 questions. Can he get some playing time? And I asked something around mental health and substance abuse, just because I owned a treatment facility in the city back then. That was it. I didn't have an innovative mindset. Our goal, our mindset was what could happen at University of Maryland? And obviously I wouldn't be sitting here today, if that wasn't the case. So this is where we educate parents at to really make solid decisions that will impact your family. I don't believe in young people, 17, 18, making life decisions. You don't know enough about life to do that. So I think that as parents, we need to be thinking about life after the game is over with, no matter what the sport is.
How does your foundation represent who your son was?
Well, surprisingly, the day is Jordan's heavenly birthday, so this would have been his 26th birthday. So the book release really was perfect. It was all timed around this.
Man, we lucky, man.
So when I was posting this morning, I couldn't even post it. I didn't even think social media could handle that, you could put that many pictures in a post. Just in regards to the incremental steps, this is year 7 for us. Not to mention the work that we've done in the community. We've got 4 laws passed. We've branched into another state. So, I mean, like, our impact has been significant in regards to student athlete safety. But one of the main things to me, you know, any parent of a child, you just heard Dad just say, you know, being a father is a full-time job. But the main thing is, you know, you will do it's no motivation like the motivation of seeing your child succeed, or the motivation of honoring your child's legacy. So to me, you know, I look at it sometimes and it just don't even seem like work to me. And this is what I do full time. So it's like, to answer your question, like, I mean, Jordan is the center of focus almost every day in what we do. Yep.
So how do you feel his personality, Jordan, and the foundation kind of parallel? Like, how do they parallel one another?
Yeah, you know, one of the big things, man, you know, Jordan was here for 19 years. I mean, the roughest time we had in 19 years was in 2 weeks. He was in the hospital fighting for his life. He was just that great of a guy. So really the way that he touched people, or those that were lucky enough to interact with him, his awesomeness and, you know, him just being a really great guy, it really extends in the foundation. And to answer your question a little bit more definitively, I thought Jordan would have played on Sundays, or had the potential to play on Sundays. Who could have saw that he would be a poster boy for a national poster boy for student athlete safety? I couldn't even, like you said, God's plan, when y'all talked about Angie Stone, when you're playing and God's plan, it looked totally different.
Huh.
Yep.
Can you also tell us about the emergency high school plan?
Yeah, so one of the things for us early on was, you know, we kept thinking, especially when we were just talking about safety equipment, I initially thought that, you know, if there had been a cold water tub on the field, you know, Jordan would still be here, or I wouldn't be sitting here. But then the more and more we got into advocacy, and people, you know, I didn't know any statistics that Jordan fell into. He was falling into 2 to 3 linemen were dying every year at the NCAA level. Jordan was number 30, the 31st student athlete at the collegiate level in 18 years.
34?
31st. But several died after that as well. So I didn't know any high school stats or anything. This is all sports now, but especially football. It's always your bigger linemen doing too much, too quick, you know, the first day of practice, and unfortunately that's when a lot of these injuries always happen. So for me, not knowing any of these stats, and when you start talking about safety equipment, one of the main things that I realized was, how do these kids keep dying? I mean, the pandemic, kids, it was just very horrendous during the summer months, or during that peak season for us. And one of the things that I realized was, it wasn't just about having the right safety equipment on the field. It was about the emergency action plan. So if there was a fire drill in here a fire broke out in here right now, I'm sure they would have some type of fire drill.
But we don't know.
Huh?
But we don't know what it is.
Correct, right?
Right.
Now, but just let's say you go wherever you work at, they've had a fire drill, everybody may go across the street. That's an emergency action plan.
Right.
That's an example of it being practiced when you run the fire drill, right? However, in the sports space, every time you walk out on the field, the potential for a fire can happen just like that. So you have to practice that consistently, right? It wasn't the fact that UMD didn't have one at the time, it just wasn't practiced. So while Jordan was in distress, you know, they already missed the time where the damage was irreparable as far as the actual injury, the type of injury. But then when they called, it was construction on the campus that day. So even when they called EMTs, they were riding around looking for them.
God, man.
That's all a part of the emergency action plan. And when an emergency action plan, so when you look at these deaths, it's not, I can't say I blame everybody or somebody didn't do their job. Sometimes the EAP really wasn't followed consistently or practiced consistently. And that's usually when you have traumatic situations or tragedies when it comes to these types of things.
I also wanted to ask you, what inspired this book here, The Fifth Quarter?
So a lot of my inspiration came from what didn't I teach Jordan? Dad just said it. You know, if something happens to your child, no matter what the case, you know, a father is going to take it as his fault, right? You're going to assume 1,000% responsibility for that because you feel as though you prepared your child for everything. Same way I felt. I felt like that, but I prepared Jordan for everything, but what I didn't prepare him for was what I didn't know, right? And what I didn't know was, you know, I'd always taught Jordan to be coachable, meaning, you know, whatever coach say, you do. Coach say run through that brick wall, you run through that. Coach say jump off the cliff, you jump off the cliff. But in reality, what happened was, you know, I never taught Jordan to advocate for himself with adults and coaches, with his peers all the time, right? So the main thing is, you know, really, I didn't teach him if he was in an uncomfortable space or he felt uncomfortable or saw something happening to a teammate to speak up. And a lot of times when we look at society and we look at sports and we look at all of these different things, it's usually, I'll give you a prime example. A coach just got sued last year because he had all of the kids come back from Christmas break and had everybody do 400 push-ups on the team in an hour. All the kids wound up in the hospital with rhabdomyolysis, right? None of us could do 400 push-ups an hour. And most coaches can't do what they ask a kid to do, right? But nobody said, hey, coach, we ain't doing this. All of them did it, all of them wound up, like 15 of the players wound up in the hospital. Parents sued as they should have, right? But again, just think if somebody, kids are two things. Kids are impulsive, irrational, and easy to follow, right? Meaning, look at Angel Reese. She took the whole team when she left. When she left Maryland to go to LSU, 5 of her teammates jumped in the portal with her. You know what I mean? So kids do that type of stuff. Now imagine if one of them kids say, Coach, I ain't doing that. Probably the rest of the other kids probably would have stepped up and didn't do it themselves. So you have to teach self-empowerment, or what we call voice amplification, and self-advocacy. Yep.
God.
It's deep. There's a lot to learn about.
The Jordan McNair bill, I know you had the bill. Did that ever get passed? And tell us about it.
Well, I'm gonna get kind of a tad bit pretentious. Which one? We got 4 of them passed.
Ooh.
Yeah. What's up, Kenny? Yep.
Yes, indeed. Give me a brief synopsis of all 4.
Okay, so let me tell you what our very first one is, the Jordan McNair Youth Safety Protection Act. That's in Baltimore City, right? Brandon Scott, before Brandon was mayor, he was still city council president. He worked on, that was the very first bill we got passed. And that basically states that any organized team that is practicing or playing on parks and recs, Baltimore City recs and parks facilities have to be trained. Heat stroke, cardiac arrest, blah, 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 right? And they even had a partnership with social services to identify if a child has been being abused or something like that, signs of abuse. Then we had the Jordan McNair Act. That was a law that they added Jordan's name to, basically that if collegiate players in the state of Maryland basically feel any type of, I'll tell you, hold on. So if any collegiate players feel uncomfortable, they feel the coaches are doing something that they can call abusing them in some form or another, they can call a 1-800 number and report the coaches anonymously, right? All right, and then we had the NIL bill is in Jordan's name. That's the Jordan McNair Safe and Fair Play Act, right? So that is basically, and what you had with legislation is what they call a notable provision, which is an add-on, right? Now, I don't want to go too deep, but people, if you're a parent of a college athlete, we all think that the NCAA is this Oz-type entity, right? We really don't know what they do. They do something, but we all saw the Wiz, right? And basically, when they snatched the curtain back, you had Richard Pryor back there, right? So basically, everybody already had it within themselves. So California knew it because they were the first state to do an NIL law. The NCAA is a private organization. They can't tell a state what to do. All right, that's bill number 3. Now, the 4th bill is the most important bill to me, is House Bill 836. And what that bill states that the emergency action plan in all middle and public high schools in the state of Maryland have to be practiced twice a year. Every fall season, every spring season, and every fall season, meaning safety equipment has to be within 2 to 3 minutes reach. They have to run through that emergency drill or that emergency action plan consistently just when something happens, but it has to be practiced twice a year. So what I learned about legislation is this. Interesting thing about legislation is 2 things. Verbiage is very important. I'm not a genius when it comes to this. However, what happens is most states that have a law that's similar, we'll bring the law to our state, tweak it, right? And then we'll get it passed because we're basing it off of the success that it had in other states. Of course, we want everything to go to a federal level because that can give us what we call a baseline standard, meaning it's the same all the way across the board. That's the first thing. The second thing is, all them bills I just named, I guarantee you, has anybody in the room heard of any of them? Never. That's where the real work starts. Kenny, that's where the real work starts. You gotta literally be on somebody's microphone like this or with a bullhorn stating that this bill protects your kid, your kid, your kid, because we don't look at things till something happens, now we wanna be reactionary. But that's the hardest thing about a bill, not getting it passed, but getting the word out that these bills exist. And unless you read in the paper to see what comes out every July 1st, what's getting passed, or what the governor's signing every July 1st, or when it goes in effect July 1st, this stuff will get right by you. Yep.
So, under that regime, at that time, I know it was Coach DJ Durkin, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, what are your thought processes in the fact that he was hired again in Ole Miss? I mean, we know about Mississippi, but what are your thought processes on him being hired again by?
Man, that man had 5 jobs, man. 5 jobs. Right, nepotism. Nepotism at its finest.
Talk to me about, give me.
You know, this is my thing, man. You know, really, what I've learned so much about myself in this process, right? Me running around with a bunch of negative energy ain't gonna bring Jordan back, right? First of all. Second of all, I'm Muslim, right? Now, here I am asking for forgiveness. It's Ramadan, so I'm asking for forgiveness 5 times a day, right? Now, have I say I'm gonna forgive that guy? I ain't there yet, but the athletic trainer that was on the field that day, because it wasn't, see, when you look at Durkin, that's a broken system. That's systematic failure. Our whole situation was systematic failure. Early on, you want to point fingers, oh, this person didn't do this person didn't do that. But when you look at a systematic failure, if something happened in here right now, from a risk management perspective, you know, I'm not going to sue you in the trenches. I'm going to sue the owners of the building, right? So it should have been up to them to ensure that these systems were in place and these systems were practiced on a consistent basis. So, because now I just think that as far as the coach, you know, one thing, I get Google alerts, right, whenever Jordan's name pops up. So every time I get one with his name, because they connected, he's connected.
Yes.
The main thing, the only challenge that I had with this guy is you just didn't have a level of integrity to say, you know what, and a lot of coaches don't. A lot of coaches, they'll tell you, sweet talk you. As soon as something happened to your kid, unfortunately, if it's a tragedy or your kid's in the bad, man, they gone off to the next kid. And a lot of them don't have the level of integrity just to say, you know what, mom and dad, we dropped the ball. Bottom line, that's where we come from. Bottom line, we come from a place of saying right out the gate, man, I dropped the ball. And I'm putting it nicely, but you can't do nothing but respect that. Man, you gave your son, you put your son in my care, I dropped the ball. I can't convict you twice, but as where we come from, this is how, you know, we make right with the world. But until this cat do, you know, he's always connected to that kind of black cloud in a sense. Yeah.
And if you can give any coaches and parents any type of advice moving forward, what would you give them? And then I also want you to tell everybody where they can contact you as well.
Advice about what?
Advice about just general advice, like about coaching and parenting, and if you have a child on a
Being proactive.
team,
Being proactive.
more proactive in your student's life and in your athlete's life.
Okay, got it. So I'll start with parents. Education starts at home. Plant those seeds of self-advocacy while they're young. Because what happens is with parents is, and this is what my new book talks about, which you can get it at the JordanMcNairFoundation.org. If you catch me running around doing interviews like this, I might have a couple copies in my truck. But you always get if you purchase it from us, you'll get an autographed copy. But it's on every platform, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Ingram Spark. But the interesting thing I tell parents of student athletes is, just think, you have all of the voice when they're at the AAU level, right? You can run up on the coach, you can say whatever you want, you can yell from the sidelines, right? But do you really think a high school coach is gonna let you do that? They start walking away from you after the games, right? So therefore, your voice gets smaller as an advocate along the way, right? And the point that I'm making is, while your voice diminishes, your child's voice needs to get bigger, because one of my chapters in the book is use your voice because you can't borrow mine. But that's a skill set that needs to be taught, right? At home. Third of all, with parents, if your child lucks up and makes it to the collegiate level, right? And right now with the transfer portal, a lot of colleges ain't even grabbing kids from high school right now. They aren't recruiting from high school. Most kids nowadays, unless you're just a super duper special player, they'll recruit you. But most kids, if they're a decent player, they might got to go to a JUCO, then get in the portal, and hopefully they land at the school they want to get to.
Sad.
Right? That's just the nature of sports. And from a coach's, so even back to parents, so even from a parent's perspective, if you don't teach these self-advocacy techniques or plant these seeds, you think you're going to share the same air as a college coach beyond the recruitment table? It ain't going to happen. So I tell parents, plant these seeds now and never send your children, your child, don't send your child out of town, out of state, out of the house unprepared. Now, from a coach's perspective, I tell coaches this all the time. Coaches, parents think you all are medical professionals. Something happened on the field is coach's fault. Coaches aren't medical professionals. They coaches. I have yet to meet a coach in the last 7 years that went to medical school. Hopefully the ones I met through our training, they know what to do, or they have some CPR or something like that. They just regular folks like us. This is their job. So from a coach's perspective, I always ask coaches, just make good decisions, right? Have a good moral compass, and don't do anything that don't make poor decisions that will disrupt a parent's life or the loss of a child in their life.
Highlight that.
Yep.
Man, it's tough. Well, we want to thank you, Mr. McNair, for coming on, and it's truly a blessing, and very informative, and I knew a couple years ago that I really wanted to have you on and have this conversation, so I'm really prideful right now, So shout out to our sponsors, Moe's Seafood, Tone Drone Productions, Brainstream Media, and Play It Again Sports. You got anything?
And again, just let the viewers know where you can be found, where they can find you.
Yeah. So let me jump in real quick, because in my bio you said a couple of national news outlets. So I'm going to add Moe's to right after HBO. All right, the Moe's and In the Trenches.
Yes.
ESPN, CNN, Moe's, and In the Trenches for sure. So I ask everybody, just follow us. If you follow us, we post a lot. I don't post, I hire somebody to do the posting now, so it's more consistent. God. So I ask everybody, follow us on Instagram, all social media sites, but most importantly, just keep up to date with us with our website, the Jordan McNair Foundation website, and literally, you're going to see what we're doing all the time. Yep. Thank you for having me, man. You guys got a wonderful platform here. Continued success to you for sure. I was catching up on a couple episodes last night. I hope I did a little better than some of the younger kids you had on the show, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again for having me.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for our book
And remember,
as well.
June 7th, we have the Big Uglies presents the 5-on-5 O-line camping competition. It's a team event, so it'll be 12, 13, and 14. So we're going to add the 13 and 14 guys together. That's June 7th, 10:30 to 2 at Cunyon Field, Edgewood, Maryland. It is free of charge. Hit me up if you want to bring a team, either 12U or 13/14U. Thank you.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah.